Yo! Right, so this week we've had a very interesting week, especially for OpenAI. OpenAI has been through some troubled waters, obviously, since they became a company, and obviously with all the things happening with ChatGPT and all that type of stuff. But I made a video last week, which I posted, where I talked about some of the OpenAI Spring updates. That was on a couple hours before Google I/O on Tuesday, a couple weeks back. And then one of the updates that they had was the announcement of ChatGPT 4.0, which was this kind of like app style thing that basically you can communicate with that ChatGPT 4.0, and then it can reply to you in a much more human behavior. But the big thing that came out of that is that the voice of that ChatGPT 4.0 was strikingly similar to the one of the famous actress Scarlett Johansson. Because ever since then, since that event, that's been the talk of the week and the talk on X, where everybody's been like, that voice of that ChatGPT 4.0 on the Spring Update event for OpenAI was very similar to the one of Scarlett Johansson. It was very similar to this actress. What's up with that? And then OpenAI has said that no, it's definitely not based on Scarlett Johansson, and it's definitely out of these kind of like 400 people that audition 400 people, and they have 5 different voices, with one of them being this voice that's very similar to Scarlett Johansson. They say no, this is from 5 different people that we used, and that's completely. But after that everybody was talking about OpenAI using this voice as very strikingly the same as Scarlett Johansson, they've decided to pull the voice of that model, basically. They claim that the voice of Sky, which is the name of one of 5 voices that you get to choose for ChatGPT 4.0, wasn't an intention to be similar to the Scarlett Johansson, but they've decided to remove it. Which again, kind of like be like, oh nice, they removed it. But here's the thing. Scarlett Johansson released a statement maybe a day after this whole thing of ChatGPT or OpenAI is gonna pull out the Sky voice, basically. In the statement, the actress said that she got reached out by Sam Altman, which is the CEO of OpenAI, asking her and her agent if they could use her voice, they could have the permission to use her voice to use for this ChatGPT 4.0. She also says in the statement that Sam Altman said that her voice would help bridge the gap between basically machines and humans, and that kind of like human interaction, having her voice on ChatGPT 4.0, and that would just bridge the gap in that kind of like connectivity and interaction that you can have with a machine, and that her voice would be so comforting. But then obviously after she declined that offer 9 months ago, then obviously it will come to her surprise that a lot of her friends, family members, people on social media were probably talking about her being the name and the kind of like, not the name, but the voice of ChatGPT 4.0 Sky, and that her voice would be that. Then obviously she felt really surprised that the CEO and OpenAI itself will use her voice, or use a voice that's strikingly similar to hers, even though she declined. Also in the statement says that Sam Altman reached out to her agent asking basically to reconsider the offer, but before they could even reply to that renegotiation and kind of like ask, basically even before they could try and say yes or no or whatever it is, ChatGPT 4.0 got released with a voice and all that stuff. So yes, so that's kind of like some big news happening in the AI world. Obviously they pulled out the voice. I'm guessing by the looks of it, she probably is going to be looking for whatever lawsuits or for some legal action in the upcoming months. So that's something that, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure we'll see a lot of coming up. It is exciting because I've never been like actually so excited. I've been kind of keeping up with this for so long, and it's good. But you know, and yes, I'm watching Trevor Bauer. Please let this man play back in the major leagues. He deserves a spot in the major leagues, right? So Microsoft Bill 2024 event. I've had to write it all down because it's a lot happened. I didn't get to see the event, but I was reading some of the news press and some of the press releases, and it is a lot. It's quite a fair few stuff. A lot of AI stuff and Windows apparently, as the event got a bit more focus on those two things. So a lot of on the AI and how it's going to work with Windows as well. We also got new chip basically from Snapdragon, which is going to be, I'm guessing, a new partnership between Microsoft and Snapdragon. Now the Snapdragon has a chip in these laptops, in the Microsoft laptops. So that's something that's quite interesting. But we'll get to the first. Microsoft Edge through AI can now in real time translate YouTube videos while you're watching them. It's all possible through AI. You can basically have subtitles on videos from YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms. You can, at the moment, it's only a handful of languages. So you can do Spanish to English and vice versa. You can have English to German, Hindi, Italian, and Russian at the moment. So that's something that obviously is quite big if you kind of want to do it in real time. I'm not sure when it's being released, but it'll be released very soon. Last but not least, it will be the new Snapdragon chip on the new Microsoft laptops. But I'm just gonna watch video, travel about for now, and then we'll talk tomorrow. And coming from the Microsoft build event, the 2024 build event, that's their big partnership with Snapdragon, and then Snapdragon announcing their new chips as well, which is called Snapdragon X Elite. And obviously this is not the first time that we see Qualcomm release a chip for laptops. It's probably, and it's been rumored that this is going to be the first one that's actually going to rival the other chip makers, manufacturers like Apple, Intel, and AMD. At the event, a very tiny Snapdragon PC got announced at the price of $899 that has the Snapdragon X Elite chip, has 32 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigabytes of SSD, which is kind of like a lot of people are comparing it to the Mac Mini because it has a very similar size. We're gonna see a lot of that when the laptops actually come out. I'm sure we'll see a lot of reviewers getting their hands on, and we're gonna see that in the near future, I'm guessing, because you can now pre-order those laptops with the Snapdragon X Elite chip right now on all the websites. So I'm guessing we'll see them in the very near future. And then now reading on the verge of all the Snapdragon kind of like releases when it comes to laptop chips, we have basically two. We have the Snapdragon X Plus and the Snapdragon X Elite. So the X Plus is basically kind of like the Qualcomm's entry-level chip, and then the X Elite is going to be kind of like the higher performance, kind of like the higher chip for those more expensive laptops. They're going to need much more power. But yeah, so we have now basically the differentiate between the slightly probably going for more budget-friendly processors and the more higher end, probably much more expensive processors. So we have the Qualcomm or the Snapdragon X Plus and the Snapdragon X Elite chip that'll be coming to your to a Windows laptop real soon. I'm just a little tired right now, so I really need to get moving. So I might go for a 10K run as well, because I'm potentially doing a marathon next year, so I need to get running and get training. That is all today for me for another tech vlog. I will see you guys on the very next one. See ya.